Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Welcome to the lesson number 7 of Spanish language. Today we're going to study the letter R, which is probably the most tricky letter in the Spanish alphabet because it has two sounds that we are going to call it strong sound and soft sound. And it depends on some rules that I'm going to explain you today. So the first thing that you need to understand about these R's is the sound of it. So I'm going to start to explain how it sounds. We're going to start with the soft R. So to make this letter sound like re, we can start saying the word car in English. Car. You notice your tongue is a little retroflexed to behind, right? And what you want to do when your tongue is like this is just put it like trying to say an L, R, D, an L of lion, but with the tongue retroflexed. R, re, reon, de. So remember, say car in English, car, and when the tongue is retroflexed like that, you will try to say an L of lion. Try to do it lion. Lion. That's the sound of the soft R. The sound of the strong R is a little more complex and you will need a lot of practice to master it. You have to start saying the L of lion word le and keep your tongue up there. And now to blow some air through it. You will notice if you say L, the air will go by the sides. But when you block this air, it will have to go through your tongue. When I was a child and I was starting to read, I couldn't say the letter R. But my solution in my early years was just to say with the lips, because it's kind of the same mechanic. You just have to relax and blow air to it. But you need to put your tongue as you are going to use the L word. Like is the same position. Just block the air. Put it a little up. It's the same mechanics. Of course, it will take a lot of practice to do it correctly because, as you will notice, it's not easy to do. So now we know what is the phonetic difference between the soft R and the strong R. Now there are a set of rules that we have to follow it to pronounce it correctly. So we are going to start studying the rules for the soft R. We use soft R when this letter is in the middle of a word, such as caro, which means expensive, or pero, which means but, or in the word libro, caro, pero, libro. The second rule is when you find the letter R before these consonants, the B, like brazo, which means arm, the letter C, for example, creer, which means believe, the letter D as for dragón, it means dragon. After the letter F, as in France, which in Spanish is Francia. After the letter G, like gripa, which means to get a cold. After the P, for example, comprar, which means to buy. And after the letter T, for example, trabajar, which means to work. Just two rules for the soft R. Now we're going to study the strong R. The first rule, you use the strong R at the beginning of a word. When the word starts with the letter R, you will use the strong R. For example, Rápido, which means fast. Ratón, which means mouse. Or risa, which means laugh. Second rule, you use strong R at the end of a word. Comer, which is eat. Decir, which means to say. Or comprar. Notice that this will have the two R's. Comprar. It's the same R with the two different sounds. The beginning soft sound and the end with strong sound. Comprar means to buy. Third rule of the strong R is when two vowels are separated by an R, it depends. If you say, for example, caro, which means expensive, but if you say carro, it means car. And of course, you will write it with double R, carro. You remember we studied pero, which means but. You have two vowels, right? E and O, pero, but so. If we wanted to say perro, which means dog, we have to use double R. Another example we studied before is guitarra. Guitarra. If we don't put the two R's, it would show guitarra. So, guitarra. Last rule of the strong R is when you have vowel R and a consonant. For example, cerveza. E-R-V, cerveza, which means beer. Other example, cortina, which means curtain. Cortina. O-R-T. Cortina. And last example with this rule, Argentina, which is the country, Argentine. A-R-G, Argentina. Thank you for keep studying Spanish, and I hope that you keep practicing. Thank you very much. Adiós.